My name's Jimmy, and what's up? I'm an addict. Man, I haven't said that in a long time, man, because I go into AA so much, I just say alcoholic. And I forget that I did so much meth. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of refreshing to come back in and be like, man, I am a drug addict, too. You know, I don't get to bask in that glow of my shame often. But when I do, it's deplorable. And there's a thing that happens when, I hope everybody in here is having a beautiful night, and that, whatever this message is tonight, that it finds you in a place of hope and healing to where you can transmit something from it to help another drug addict. You know what I mean? But so when I got asked to speak, I usually don't try to put too much preparation into it, because if anything I've known about my behavior and characteristics is I get in the way of lots of good things by my own self-will run riot. So I was thinking about, man, what was it like, at the very end or at the very beginning of the end? And there comes a time when I reflect on where I was and what I was doing, man, and the utmost shame and guilt that I felt that moment. And it's such a strong feeling that I remember what it was like right before I started the journey of recovery. It's nauseating to me. Like, no one should find themselves at the Red Roof Inn on Overton Road in the condition I found myself that day. You know what I mean? I had been looking for my lighter for about 6 days. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think I found it twice. You know what I mean? And then when I wasn't looking for that, I was looking for the remote to the TV. And then just to turn it on and not watch that shit, to go look for my lighter again. You know what I mean? I was making great gains in my life at that moment in time. My sober date is April 14, 2020. And yeah, man, it was even shit. It was it used to be April 15th, 2010. And I was sober 9 years. And you know what I did? I fucking got high. I started out my life in my drinking and drugging career in Virginia, in the 90s, it's deplorable to think that sounds old as shit now. To say that I was getting high in the 90s and be like, damn, that's a long time. I was like, that's some bullshit now. Anyway, but I started out my using career as God intended, with Mexican brickweed and a Coke can and a smoke fork. You know what I mean? There was none of the oils and the dabs and none of that shit. You had to go buy that shit from a man named after a noun who lived in the townhouses, and he might not come out with your money. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And all y'all had to put your little ass lunch money that mom gave you together to go buy and get your one blunt and roll that shit up and try to smoke it back before you miss marketing class or some shit. You know what I mean? And that was man, at that time, that was the greatest half hour of my life, man. It felt like I was an upstanding member of society. I was independent. I spent my little McDonald's paycheck, bought my first, half ounce, thought I was on, watched Scarface too many times, and I was on the come up, and my mom found my shit in my pants and flushed it in the toilet, man. I was like, goddamn, Tony Montana didn't have to deal with this bullshit, But I wasn't like that because I had a bad home. I had a good ass home. I feel weird telling you about, the coming up of my story because it's not filled with that much trauma, and trauma drives a lot of people in the room, and I feel like it doesn't qualify me to an extent. I had a good little household. My mom got divorced. Yeah, my dad kind of wasn't around, and my stepdad used to beat the shit out of me with a belt, but, that was typical Baptist upbringing. You know what I mean? Yeah, right? You know what I mean? And, those ass whippings I deserved. I earned them on good merit with lying, cheating, and stealing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he would come home drunk and just beat the shit out of me. You know what I mean? I was acting a fool. So, when I first did weed, right, I was like, man, I can't wait to find out what all the other drugs do. I was excited. I was like, there's more shit to do. You know what I mean? Now, I don't want to smoke crack and I don't want to shoot heroin because TV has taught me that's bad. You know what I mean? It's like immediate homeless if you fuck with that. You know what I mean? We're not going to smoke no crack. We're not going to shoot no heroin. But all the other shit is on the table. And that was what I wanted to do. After I smoked weed, I was like, I can't wait to do all the drugs. And then I ended up in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center, and I had done all the drugs. And I felt like that had not landed me where I thought it was going to land me. You know what I mean? So on January 17, 2010, I came home to my mother's house, and my mother was waiting patiently up. Man, I've robbed that woman of so many nights of sleep, And I had been drinking to an extent to where my motor functions were failing me. I don't know if you've ever been so intoxicated to where your body's failing you, but your mind is still present. And I only drank and used to alleviate the mental Like, I just wanted the thoughts to go away. I wanted the shame, the guilt, the depression, the anxiety, the fear. I wanted all of it to numb and go away. And that's why I essentially used, to my understanding at that time. But like, at this point in time, my mind is still being like, yo, you, man, I don't know, man. Like, the suicidal ideation was getting strong in my life, right? It was like, this is going nowhere, kill yourself. This is going nowhere, kill yourself at night. And I come to my mother's house, I'm slurring my words and stuff, and she looked at me and she was like, this craziest thing she ever said. She was like, do you want help? I was like, man, I never thought that there was help. I thought there was jails, and I thought there was like, you know, like the court system, which I was really familiar with. But I never thought there was help. And I was like, man, yeah. And I went and laid in my bed, and or my brother's bed. I ain't lived there no more. I was laying in my brother's bed. And my mom peeks her head out the door, and she's like, you want to go to Pennsylvania or Florida? And I was like, man, it's January 17th. I was like, I'm going to go to fucking Florida, man. You crazy. Hell yeah. And, man, she had me on a plane, like, the next day going to Florida. And I remember my stepfather drove me to the airport that day. And he, man, we're driving. Man, they had to borrow the money from my stepfather's father to get me to go to treatment, right? Like, this is a favor of a favor from a man who doesn't owe me shit. You know what I mean? Like, they went on him for the arm for this. And I felt like, oh no, you know, like, he bet on the wrong horse. You know what I mean? And my stepdad dropped me to the airport. He goes, Jimmy, let me get this right. He goes, you're going to Florida to get away from drinking, cocaine, and fast women. And I was like, shit. You know, like, I was like, when you put it that way, he goes, I don't think this is a great idea. And I was like, it's what we got. You know what I mean? It's better than Pennsylvania. And he's like, why is it better than Pennsylvania? I was like, because if I have a bad day, there's enough people that owe me money that'll come pick me up. Like, they'll come get me 6 hours, be like, hell yeah, you owe me $300. You better come pick my ass up. I forgive the debt. You know what I mean? And so he hands me off to the airport, and he's like, look, man, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. He goes, but I hope I don't see you for a while. And I was like, yep. And I'm like flying from Dulles into Tampa, and that whole time I'm thinking what a bad decision this is, right? And in Tampa, I got a connecting flight to Fort Lauderdale. And when we connect, I'm like, you know what? Like, beyond anything, I'm just going to do this one time to the best of my ability. I'll do it one time. So when I go to die my cold, lonely death, I can tell everybody I tried. Right? I didn't do this to get better. I did this so they would just get off my back and accept that I could go die alone and cold. Like, that's all I wanted, to be able to do that. And I was like, I'll do whatever. And like the plane started having turbulence, you know what I mean? And I was like, figure God want to kill me now, right? When I want to do the right thing, you know? And I was like, shit. And then naturally the plane didn't crash, you know, and I got to Fort Lauderdale. And I ended up in this drug and alcohol rehabilitation center where all they did was tell me to go to AA, get the 12 steps, work the steps, get a sponsor, move into a halfway house. I was like, this is the worst 15 grand we ever spent. You know what I mean? Like my mom, they would like I get on the phone with my mom. She's like, how's it going? I was like, apparently I'm supposed to be in AA. You know, it's like they misdirected me. And I graduated early from, like, I'm an honor graduate from drug and alcohol treatment program. Nah, what it is, I just being an asshole sometimes, you know? Like, I didn't feel like sitting on the floor was up to my standard for my grandfather's money, which at this point in time in my drug and alcohol treatment career is now my money. Like, I paid for this treatment. You know what I mean? So as I'm sitting in I'm like in this drug and alcohol program, rehab, you got a split bedroom, and the guy in my bedroom, he's got a blue book on his nightstand. And I'm like, man, I need something to read because I just not feeling good. I'm in my head, like, and this is before you could watch porn on your phone and shit. You know what I mean? So I had to get, like, I'm talking, it was back in 2010, man. Shit wasn't cracking like it is today. So I had to steal his book and start reading it, right? And I started reading this book, and it was Alcoholics Anonymous book. And I was like, man, it was the first time I ever felt like somebody had wrote a book that related to me. And I'm reading this book. And I'm like, this is crazy. My mama had him put this book in this room on my roommate's nightstand because she know I'd steal the shit. That's kind of fucked up. You know, like I'm so absorbed about me. I think everything's a plot about me, around me, for me. You know, like when I got sober, I don't know if you got them, but I got superpowers, right? I knew what all y'all was thinking. I knew what all y'all was talking about. I knew I just like fucking became an X-Men in this bitch. And so I started reading this book, and it come to the point in the story where it talks about a jaywalker. And have y'all ever read the book, man? This shit's kind of crazy. And it'll go through like the story with Jim, then the story with Fred, then it'll go into the story about a jaywalker. Jim talks about a guy who drank because he didn't grow on his spiritual principles, and Fred talks about a drinker who wouldn't rely on the fact that he needed a program to sustain his recovery. Jim had a bad day, he drank. Fred had a good day, he drank. And then it rolls you into this jaywalker story. And it talks about how a guy has this infatuation with jaywalking. Like he just jaywalk and get hit by shit. I'm like, right, this is it, it's in a book. And then he have a minor injury, and then he jaywalk again, get hit by bigger shit, and have a bigger injury. And then they're like, yo, his jaywalking problem becomes so bad his wife leaves him. He loses his job. He can't trust himself to walk down the road until he finally gets hit by a fire engine and breaks his back. And they said, man, I fucking folded that book up. I was like, that's some bullshit. Me smoking crack is nothing like a jaywalker. All right? You know what I mean? Yeah, I've smoked PCP and broke into the wrong house. Yeah, I have smoked a piece of dog food that I thought was hash. You know what I mean? We learned in the early 2000s not to smoke things we found in carpet. But I ain't no jaywalker now. I'm in a drug and alcohol treatment program that my stepfather had to pay. My stepfather's father had to pay, and my stepfather was about even doing that. But I ain't no damn jaywalker. I was upset, so I went and I took one of my long menthol cigarettes I had borrowed from somebody, and I went back to the place where you smoke. And when we go back there and we smoke, we don't talk about recovery. We talk about how much dope we did, how much robbing we did, how much stealing we did. There ain't a fucking ounce of recovery back there, baby. There's just war stories. But there was like this funny thing, man. When I was done, I was done. So when people were out there talking about that shit, it sounded like some low bottom shit. Like, if it's so good, why ain't you at it right now? You know what I mean? Like, I thought about like the nights that I was scared like the door was gonna come in. Right? And like when it came in, you better hope it's the police. Oh, man. You know what I mean? Like thinking like that, like scared to go to sleep. Wondering when's it gonna happen and who was the one that did it to me. Couldn't keep a person, like the ones you kept closest to is the ones you didn't trust the most. Like, you know? And that's how I live my life. And so when you want to go out back and talk about the shit didn't amuse me, man. I was here, I came all the way down to get as far from it as I possibly could. Now I got this jaywalking shit going on. I got to hear this guy talking about shooting 65 bundles in my neck. I'm fucking over here like, I'm not no jaywalker. So there's a tech out there. A guy named Big John. Big John had a leg tattoo of all like the movie serial killers and shit. I knew he was a trustworthy fellow. I said, John, first off, are you sober? He was like, yeah. I was like, how long? Said 3 years. I was like, John, you ain't got fucking lie, man. Like, really, how long you been sober? Because 3 years was astronomical. I'm looking for a guy that's got 90 days. 3 years is a lie. You smoke a little bit of weed to take the edge off this shit. You know what I mean? And he's like, nah. I was like, let me ask you a question. Is it worth it? And he goes, every day. I was like, man, I was reading that bullshit ass book, and it talked about jaywalking and how I'm a jaywalker. He's like, can I ask you a question? And I was like, yeah. And this is when I'm really glorifying my use. Like, I got to have done the most drugs. I had to break the most crimes. I had the most humiliating losses. You know what I mean? I'm that guy in treatment. And he's like, so he goes, you party and you get in? I was like, oh, I get in every night. He's like, what do you use? I was like, I use whatever, man. I'm hustling it. I'm buying it. I'm using it. And he's like, how much on a dollar amount out of your own supply or that you purchase would you say you use in a night? It's like $200 to $500 easy. Easy. That's not counting a fun night. He's like, so you'd say $500 a night? I was like, yeah, $500 a night. He said, that'd take you about, what, like $3,500 a week? I was like, yeah. He goes, over the top of a year, you say you over $100,000 easy, right? I was like, yeah, it's probably $170,000. He's like, shit, jaywalking's free. That motherfucking cigarette was still that long. I had to sit out there and just smoke that shit quietly. Fucking mad. There was no other talks to be had. Jaywalking made more sense than me. I was fucking... So, when I got that put in front of me as basic evidence, I knew I absolutely needed to do something about this. Because I had already looked down my long, snobby, crackhead nose at a jaywalker to find out I was underneath of that. So I left that drug and alcohol treatment center, and I remember I wanted to go ahead and not make the decisions anymore. I was just going to do what people said. You know why? Because I don't like taking accountability for my actions. I'd rather do everything you told me to do, so when it don't work, I can be like, fuck you. It's your fault it didn't work. There's something about that. You know what I mean? So I went to the house he said go to. I don't know if y'all familiar with Palm Beach, Florida, right? Palm Beach is like the recovery capital of the world. When they told me this shit on the phone, I was so disappointed I had stopped selling drugs. I was like, you know how much money I can make down there? I was like, they're all together. They're all together. This is easy. This is like, but God got me. So I go into West Palm Beach and I go into an all men's house. And I took that recommendation because I have an issue with a spiritual malady, and out of that spiritual malady, I'll get attached to anything that relieves it. It doesn't have to be methamphetamine. It doesn't have to be crack cocaine. It can be a fucking short girl, a tall girl, thin girl, fat girl too. You know what I mean? I don't discriminate against the spiritual malady. I will do whatever it takes to not feel that motherfucker creep in, you know, and then justify it. So I went into this all men's house because the dude told me, he goes, don't go there if you don't want it because they'll kick your ass out. I was like, man, that sounds like some hardcore shit. He goes, it ain't about paying your rent and fucking off. If you ain't doing the program, they'll kick you out based on GP. And that meant something to me, man, because I felt like that protected me from me and me from people that weren't going to do it. Now, my other homeboys went to Delray, right, where they got like jet skis and co-ed apartments. Them motherfuckers was back in treatment before I got to leave. I was like, damn, it must be nice to have insurance because if I fuck up, I'm going to be homeless down in Florida. And I heard that ain't fun. You know what I mean? They said, like, the homeless shit down here on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I'm not built from that shit. I'm fucking from bumfuck Virginia, baby. We ain't down with that shit. Yeah. And so went in this house, and thank God they had structures and supports where they like, yo, you was going to a meeting, you was getting a sponsor. Everybody kind of knew everybody a little bit. So if you threw a name around, they knew the name, and it got you better connected. And they told me, man, you got 2 weeks to get a sponsor. I was like, hell yeah, man, I can do that. I waited to the 13th day. You know what I mean? like, fuck, I ain't lying. It's the 14th day. They told me if I didn't have a sponsor when I left my home group that night, my curfew was going to be 7 o'clock. And look, it's hard enough to get pussy on a bus route with an EBT card. I can't be fucking with no 7 o'clock. No 7 o'clock curfew too, right? You really cutting into what I came down here to do. You know what I mean? I hate to be honest with you, but like priorities were priorities at this point in time in my recovery. And so like this guy walks up to me, he shake my hand, he says, my name's Gabe, it's nice to meet you, and he smiled. And I was like, man, I can't remember when another man looked me in my eye, shook my hand, and said it was nice to meet me. And I was like, man, this guy's lucky. He's gonna be my sponsor. I looked at his hand, he ain't had no wedding ring, cool, total control over him, I ain't gotta fight. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta explain to your wife why you gotta come pick me up at Quick Stop. You got probably a little, you know, he had new shoes on. He had like his little employer embroidered polo. He could probably loan me some money. He's going to be good for that too. All right, I'm going to use this motherfucker. I got him. And I asked him after, you know, like, this big, bold humility move from me. I asked him to be my sponsor at the meeting. He said, go home and pray on it. I was like, this motherfucker just said no, fuck him. I was mad as shit. I had to walk all the way home with that shit. This motherfucker. And the guy he said, do you get a sponsor? I was like, he said pray on it. He's like, you better hope he say yeah. Your ass gonna be here at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. I'm like, God, please say yes. So I pray and I'm like, God, man, if it's the right answer, it's the right answer, man. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. He met with me and he took me out to this place by the Intercoastal, man. He told me parts of his life that I would never tell him another man. He sat and he disclosed things that I thought were gratefully shameful and hurtful, and he gave it with me with such a trust and confidence. It won my trust in him. I've never had a man speak to me like that before, open and transparent about things like that. And it really made me believe that like there was nothing. It was the first time I felt like a guy was fucking with me that didn't have like something to gain from me. Right? Every other relationship I had, it'd be like, what can I get out of this person? And it wasn't like that. I was like, I can go put this shit on MySpace, man. That's how long ago the show was. I can put this on MySpace. And it's just, man, there was something about like him not being controlled by that shit anymore that I was just fascinated with. And then I went through the steps with him. And he was at this point in time, I'm 28 years old. I'm doing the step work. I'm living in West Palm, and life starts taking on new meaning. I become a functioning member of my home group. I got a service commitment there. I put out the chairs and make the coffee. I'm about 6 months sober. And I put out the chairs on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Make the coffee Tuesdays, Thursday nights. One night I'm making this coffee. My sponsor comes in. I'm mad as fuck, man. I've been making this coffee for 6 months. Something got to give. You know what I mean? Somebody else got to make this damn coffee. So I'm waiting for him. I'm like, he going to be here. You know what I mean? He come in. I'm like, man, can we talk real quick? And he's like, what you guys say? And I was like, man, listen, I've been doing this motherfucking coffee commitment for like 6 months. And he's like, yeah? And I was like, fuck, somebody else got to carry the weight around here. This can't just be me. I'm the best, like I'm on the cross dying for AA sins by doing this coffee, you know? And he's like, Jimmy, I got a question. He goes, you got high? You got drunk in the last 6 months? I said, nah. He said, to make the coffee next week too. I was like, if you get off the death sentence that you were looking down and all you got to do is make coffee to get out of it, then you're fucking winning, huh? Shit kept making coffee, man. I got to read my first 4-step with him, and I finally got to say things out of my mouth that I'd kept in between my ears my whole life. And had he not told me the things he had told me in that first day we met, I probably wouldn't have ever told another individual the things that I told him. And the more times that I've told it now, I've found that it's been more of a connecting piece to me and other men in the rooms. That it was something that was going to drive me out of the rooms. It's how God shaped a weapon into a tool, how he manufactured a crutch into a key. And like it just changed my perception of what meant something anymore. And then I got to go make some amends. The amends process for me my first time around was pretty fucked up. I wanted to make amends because I wanted to make the uncomfortable emotional feelings I had in between me and my personal relationships go away. I didn't want this hurt that I was carrying on, how I treated my mama, how I treated my dad, how I treated my brother. I didn't want that feeling, that guilt and that shame anymore. So I went to make amends on that premise. And that wasn't the appropriate way to make amends. And for that, I thought I had a relief, and I thought I had taken on into this new way of life, which I really was on. But like when I reflect and I analyze some of the things I was doing, I was just a little bit off. And being a little bit off put me in a position where I was more susceptible to suddenly thinking that methamphetamine was a suitable solution. In 2016, I moved to Pasco County. I don't know how y'all felt when y'all moved into Pasco County, but I was like, man, this is a shithole. You know what I mean? I just came from Palm Beach Island. Like I'm watching the opulence, man. People groom themselves and shit. And I'm like, I come over to Pasco County, man. I come down 19 right about here, man. And it didn't look like it did now, bro. In 2016, it was different. And I come down, I'm like, yo, this place is fucked up. You know what I mean? And then I got the Hudson, I turned that shit around. I was like, nah, we went the wrong way. You know what I mean? Tell me I'm lying. Tell me you go from Tarpon, it's a slow digression of where fucking guy got lost at, and then you get the Hudson. And you like, shit. And God just needed to take a break. And then gives you Spring Hill. Which is just fucked up too. So I was like, man, I just disliked it. And I didn't connect with anybody in the rooms. I connected more with my resentments, and I connected with that, and I got divorced. I got divorced in 2018, to my understanding. And there's nothing like getting divorced sober. Getting married sober and divorced sober, that's on the chin. Like, I couldn't even blame it on crack cocaine. I couldn't be like, oh, she had to leave me. I was getting high. I was like, nah, man, you was just a straight piece of shit. It's like, without drugs and alcohol. I'm like, goddamn, that's tough. And I remember when I got that divorce, I had just taken into my new career selling cars. Hell yeah. And hell yeah. Like, never sold a car in my life, but boy, I sold some dope, and it was just like that. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I'm all for it. So anyway, I'm going through this divorce, and I'm selling Cadillacs. And I'm like crying out back at work. You know what I mean? Because I'm emotional and shit. I'm crying, and I come back in. My eyes are all red and puffy. And somebody came in. I came inside, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, man, I'm getting high. Leave me alone. And my boss brought me in the office. He's like, young, did you tell a customer you was getting high? And I was like, hell yeah. He's like, but you don't even get high. I was like, somebody would rather buy a car from somebody getting high than crying. And he fucking looked at me. He was like, you're right. You're right. Nobody wants to buy no car from no crying ass man. You smoke some weed? All right, I'll fuck with you. And I remember, like, they were like, somebody asked me, he's like, man, you thinking about getting high? I was like, absolutely not. I'm too emotionally unstable right now. I cannot fuck with no drugs right now. But you know what? As soon as I got emotionally stable, and as soon as I got 9 years, and I could say that I had 9 years, because all that time I didn't have no recovery. All I had was time. I was a guy that could say I had 9 years. I had 9 years. Like, ain't got shit else. Got a divorce, got a Cadillac job. You know what I mean? I got high. I started drinking. I got my little medical marijuana card. So my wife couldn't take the kid, or my ex-wife couldn't take the kids from me. You know, I had to protect my piss. And I come home from work one night, and my neighbor, he's like, hey, man, come check this shit out. I was like, fuck yeah, let's check this shit out. And that's when I smoked meth for, like, I think it was the second time in my life. And the first thing I knew is, like, I could concentrate and focus on everything I needed to concentrate and focus on, and I was going to sell a lot of cars on this shit. That's a dead-ass idea I had. I'd be like, man, you don't know how rich this is going to make me be. I can fucking see and think about everything all at once. My word tracks are concise. I was fucking homeless in 6 months, lost my job. Fuck, so yeah, it's fucking. So, like, I'm in the middle of a meth run, where you're doing, like, intervals and sleeping. You know, it's like, 13 days off, 2 days on. You know, I didn't have the luxury. I tried. But I did what I don't think all people do, is I had a healthy fear of water, which is how you survive a drug addiction. You know what I mean? You, like, cannot fucking bathe, like, whatever that is. Like fuck. You remember that shit? Like in the shower, you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Fucking, what's the big deal? Wash your ass. I gotta find my lighter. Fucking gotta look for my lighter. The shower's been running for 2 fucking days. I'm looking for my fucking lighter. There's mildew all in the bathroom. What the fuck is going on? So I get fucking wild times, man. I get furloughed from my job because COVID happened. Like, I come back from New Orleans and there's like, the world is dying. I'm like, fuck is going on right now? They're like, it's a deadly disease. And I'm like, fucking, I'm like, am I tweaking right now? Like, can you imagine trying to explain COVID's happening to somebody who hasn't slept in 6 days? And you're like, are you fucking sure? Hey, are you fucking sure? How long? Where? You know, like, but I knew, like, all town was shut down. I could do whatever the fuck I wanted, whenever I wanted to do it. It was like the Wild West. I'm like driving impaired, doing whatever. Like, it was wild boy shit. It was, man, giving somebody that much meth and letting them just do whatever the fuck they want was probably not good. Like, I'm like not trying to glorify, but like at this point in time, man, like, I'm ingesting 7 grams a day. Like, I'm fucking out there. You know what I mean? And I come to in this Red Roof Inn, and I'm out of money, I'm out of meth, I'm out of opportunity, and like, I remember, like, me and the Hells Angels had a disagreement. Apparently I wasn't supposed to make the money, and they thought I should make, and yeah, it was just all for 3 days. You know, we had this disagreement in the Red Roof Inn, and they finally let me out the Monday after Easter. I drive to a girl I stole money from to see if she wanted to get back together. To be fair, I had gave her that money and I just took it back.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm fucking crazy, man. I really did that shit at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey. So, fuck, you see that? She denied my advance. So I was left with one more opportunity, which I meant that I had to drive to Crystal fucking River on $6 in gas. Like, you know, like, so I drive up to Crystal River where my brother's selling Toyotas, and this son of a bitch is a fucking he's on dog food and shit. And he has the nerve to, like, you gotta imagine what I look like. I look like a fucking wreck, right? You know what I mean? I look like a 3rd grader drew me. You know what I mean? Like, shit is all fucking wrong, you know what I mean? And I show up in this car. He looks in, he's like, you done? I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. Man, they drove me to a damn drug and alcohol treatment center that night. Like, I showed up there, like, what, about, like, maybe 8, 9 a.m. They had me in the program at 5 p.m. And we're driving from Crystal River down to Tampa to go to this drug and alcohol treatment program. And I'm like, listen, man, I start doing the hostage negotiation. Y'all do that shit when you go into treatment? If I'm going to do this, I gotta, you know, God, bend to my demands. I was like, listen, man, we gotta stop by and get some shit. Last hoorah. And he's like, nah, man, we're not doing that shit. And I was like, I bet if I wanted fucking heroin, you would stop. He goes, I would. He said, Jimmy, I'll get you 2 beers. I was like, fuck it. I settled out of court for two beers. Go there. So I go. My first night, naturally, I don't sleep. I'm coming to, like, these guys are like, my second night there, I'm sure I still hadn't slept. And these dudes are like, yo, are you ready to do the steps? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking guess, yeah. Like, what are we gonna do? Like now? He's like, right now. I'm like, fucking, yeah? Like, I'm like, day 9, not sleeping right now. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, we fucking do this right now, yeah. They put a pillow down on the ground. They're like, kneel on the pillow. I'm like, fuck. Like, man, I thought I went to the Scientology program and shit. I'm like, fuck, man. All right. He's like, say the 3rd step prayer. I was like, I don't know the words anymore. He was like, here's the book. Read it, shit. And I start reading the 3rd step shit, and they're like, all right, you need to write your 4th step. I'm like, You got a notebook or something? He's like, I'll give it to you tomorrow. I was like, man, I'm like coming out of this shit. I'm like, this place fucked up, man. Like, I was like, I ain't doing shit in here. I was like, first off, what we gonna do is I'm gonna get back with that bitch who knows I didn't mean to steal her money from her. I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna smoke weed with her and Ebor. You know what I mean? Like, her being 20 years younger than me has nothing to do with the fucking, you know what I mean? We're gonna be fine. She can dance all she want. I got that. Anyway. And I'm gonna smoke weed. Because weed is non-problematic, okay? Like, I just need to do my time, do my 28 days, get the pain to stop. Because I didn't come to get sober. I came to stop the consequences. I didn't want to feel like I felt. I didn't want to have what I had anymore. I just wanted the pain to stop. Then I'll go do my shit again. And I'm like plotting out my 28 days. My son he has his 6th birthday on my 29th day. I'm going to be out in 28 days, sweep up, hug my son, and going to go about my married life. So, there's this dude, he shows up, Nick, and he brings me in this room with this other dude, Joey's 18. Joey's about to go do a bid for fucking 15 years because he fucking did something wrong, unless he can get his shit together. I'm sitting in this room and I look at Joey. Nick telling me the story about what Joey's about to have to go do, and he goes, man, he needs help. Would you help him and do these things with him? And it was read the book, say the prayers, and read the book and say the prayers. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. Because I know the steps work. I know they work. They restored my life. I'm not worth restoring. I don't need restoration. I just need alleviation. But Joey doesn't deserve to go and get fucked in prison. Like, I'm going to try to help him out. Fuck that bullshit. I looked at Joey and I was like, Joey, you definitely look like a guy. You need this. Trust me. You need this. And I'm just doing the shit with Joey. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it with him. And that same dude, Nick, he brings me into this little ass small closet. And he's like, you got your book? And I was like, yeah. And he asked me a question. He goes, do you believe you can control and enjoy your drinking? And I never had somebody ask me if I could control it and enjoy it together. See, I could control drinking if I had 7 grams of meth. Like, I was like, man, I didn't really have an alcohol problem. He's like, well, when did you find the time? You know? And if I ever enjoyed my drinking, it was absolutely without control. And anytime I enjoyed my meth usage, it was absolutely without control. I could not put those two things together. And I was like, I cannot. And he's like, he read 3 more different passages out of the book. And I had learned the book so much, I knew what the book said. And he starts rolling into the 3rd step promises. And I start fucking bawling. And I cry like a fucking man. You understand? I do that shit where I look at the ground. I just start crying, blinking, so nobody can tell. And it's not even just me and him. He's got another guy next to me who's severely disturbed with mental health issues. Like, this motherfucker is like, yo. I'm like, man, like, they need to turn the fucking dose down. You know what I mean? He's like, will they give me my fucking testosterone when I'm here? I'm like, I'm fucking crying. He's wondering if he can get his fucking testosterone. I'm like, what is going on right now? And next thing I know, I just want to be sober. And it reminded me that God wasn't mad at me and God loved me and God had a plan and it was greater than mine. And that I know how I had fallen, that there was a chance to be restored. And there was this thing about, like, me having the time I had and having the experience that I'd had. I felt like I didn't want to get sober again because it would never be like that. Like, I could never have that back. And he said, yeah, you can never have that back, but you can build something new. And a lot of my problems early in my recovery were me trying to build back a life that wasn't meant to be built back. I wanted to build old shit over and over and over instead of letting God build new shit in my life. And in the 3rd step prayer, it says to do with me and to build with me as thou wilt, right? Y'all read that. And a part of construction is, like, if we're going to build with something, we got to demolition the old shit out. Demo is a natural part of construction. So I'm saying this prayer to do with me and to build with me as thou wilt, and he's taking odd shit out of my life. And I'm wondering why this bitch won't take my phone calls and Ebor no more. He's like, yo, you prayed for it. And I was like, I'll be damned. And then I wrote this 4-step again. And the 4-step was real different this time. Okay, so the chick in Ybor, she blocked me on the house phone because I didn't have a cell phone. So she blocked. I didn't have fucking underwear when I came into treatment, baby. I was out there. You know what I mean? My homie, he brought me socks and underwear and some 305s. And it was like Santa Claus. I was like, thank you. Thank you. He's like, you look like shit. I was like, fucking yes. You know it's bad when he's still using people's bathwash in the motherfucking shower and she'd be like, shit, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, shit, I got my own washcloth. You know what I mean? Found clothes in the corner of the room, smelt them, used them. You know what I mean? That shit. So she blocked me on that phone. I was mad. I had my notebook. And there's nothing like getting fired up because a stripper blocked you on the phone and just writing out your whole 4-step in the night. And I did. I cranked it, man. It was like fucking 150 names, just some bullshit. And so when I go to read this 5th step, or when I write in my 4, I'm writing, I'm praying, I'm writing, I'm praying. And like prayer had become such an intricate part of my life. Like I'm waking up with prayer. I'm doing step work with prayer. And like God is just so hyper involved in everything I do now because I can't trust myself or that stripper anymore. So I gotta really align myself. And my mom gave my fucking bank card to somebody to like give me money. I'm like 40 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was 38. Like, that's fucking humiliating. Like, did my mom say I could have $20? You know, like, no, she didn't. Like, fucking, can you ask again? Put her on the phone. Put her on the phone, you know? Like, no, Jimmy. Go back to class, you know? So, sounds familiar, right? Like, oh, those little fucking moments, man. Mama better, don't she know this is an urgent matter? Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't an urgent matter for the last 6 months, was it? You know what I mean? Fucking give a fuck if I was dead in the hospital, right? Didn't talk to nobody. So, I got this like 4-step and I go to read it with this dude. And in Palm Beach County, they teach you certain little tools about how to write a 4-step. And they're like, on every 4-step, put you and God. So I duplicated this habit given to me and I go to present it with this sponsor. And this fucking guy, I'm doing the 5th step at the TC where I'm receiving treatment. He sits me in an office and he keeps the door open. And he's like, that's so God can come in. I was like, man, there's fucking hoes going to walk around here that are on this. You know what I mean? He's like, where's the humility? I'm like, fuck. I'm like trying to pop open my book where it says he can do this shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, where the fuck it say you can do this shit? And he's like, just get to it. I'm like, all right, man, I got you. And I open up my anger pad and, all right. He's like, who's first? I said, God. He's like, God. He's like, ain't you been praying to God? I was like, yeah. He's like, why is he on your 4-step? Are you mad at God? I was like, no. He's like, fuck you on the list for then. I was like, I thought I was supposed to put him on there. He leans over with his pen and just scratched this shit out. He like, who's next? I said, me. He's like, God damn, it's been about you long enough. Scratch the next one off me. And I was like, yo. He's like, who's next? I was like, my ex-wife. He's like, that bitch we can talk about. And in my 4-step, one thing I had done incorrectly is I wrote as many words about what my ex-wife had done to hurt me as like my 8th grade English teacher. And that was wrong because I was absolutely more impaired with building a relationship with God by the hostile feelings I had in my heart towards my ex-wife than I did Miss McDonald. Miss McDonald was a bitch, but compared to the scope of Danielle, like fucking not even comparable. You know what I mean? So by doing this in this very surface level, the ideas that I had about her would like plague me. Like, have y'all woke up and had an imaginary argument with somebody yet? You've been like, you know what, that motherfucker gonna say this shit today. And you know what I'm gonna say if he says that. Time to brush our teeth. And if they say that, I'm gonna say this. Like, I'm mapping the fight out. I'm premeditating my own despair. And I was doing this every day with her. And then I'd have to write about her because I was now on my 10th and 11th step, right? So when I would, upon awakening, I'd be like, oh, this bitch done fucked up already. So I had to go speak at this Saturday meeting, and it was about the 4-step. And I feel really bad about having to talk about shit that I'm not walking. I hate hypocrisy. Like, I can't stand somebody that'll sit there and tell you about all this shit they doing and they not doing it. You know what I mean? It just irks me. I feel it's like a cancerous thing. And here I am. I'm laying in bed the night before I'm supposed to go share about the 4-step with the resentment. I'm imaginary having arguments with my ex-wife. I was like, man, that's a hypocrite thing to do. So I woke up and I was like, I broke down in this 4-step and I wrote her name and I wrote every fucking thing she had ever done to me. And 13 words or less. Bing, 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 bing. 2.5 pages of just like her, each infraction. And then I had to go back and I wrote my part in each one of the infractions. Each one of them, where I was, where I did it, where I happened. And like, I'm finally getting it all out, right? I'm finally getting it all out. And I remember like 12 o'clock at night and I'm like, yeah, man, God, but I wouldn't have divorced her. Like, that was my hang up. I never would have left her. I never would have left her. I never would have left her. And he's like, you're right, Jimmy. You never would have left her. And your kids would have grown up in a household filled with domestic abuse, been in a war zone their whole life. They would have been witness to some of the most, they would have been traumatized. But you know what? You would have been there. You'd have been there. And like, my heart was broken. And then I saw a true gratitude for what she did and the courage it took to do it. Because it was a courage I couldn't find. And that marriage was dead, and it had been dead. And it took a great sense of faith for her to do that. And then I had the nerve to ridicule her, cry about her in a fucking PHP group. Like, oh, she won't give me my kids. Be like, you were smoking meth. Like, probably not a good sitter, you know? And when I finally did that, it just showed that as much as I want to fix my own problems and as much as I want to be over my own problems, I absolutely had to have God's help to reshape my mind. Amen. And to turn me into something else. Because I think everybody in this room wants to be over it, right? We're tired of being under it. Want to be over it. Want to be over it. Want to be past it. And I can't get past it on my own. God has to push me past it. And for that, he has to change my ideas and my thinking, the way I see things. And that has to come through constant inventory for me. And then I finally got my amends right. First amend I had to make, you know who I had to make an amend to, right? That fucking stripper. You know what I mean? I had to make an amend right off the rip. So I call her. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry. Sorry for, the money. And sorry that I, did this and did that. And there's a pause. And I was like, so what you doing? And she fucking was like, I knew you couldn't go without asking. She goes, I knew you were going to shoot your shot. She goes, that's all right, Jimmy. That's what you are. That's who you are. And I remember hanging up the phone. I was like, yo, I just fucked up. I just did that amend total. Like, I owed another amend after making the amend. And I told my sponsor about it. He wrote me this little script. And he was like, you do not say anything that is not on this motherfucking script. Okay. And I was like, but what? He's like, you don't say shit. You don't say shit. He's like, you talk too much anyway. He's like, let them talk for once. And it was I had to ask permission first and foremost. Be like, hey, I've been doing a lot of work. Your name came up, and is it okay to talk to you about it? Because it might not be okay to talk. Be like, yeah, it's okay to talk. Okay, upon reflection, I've seen that I've done a lot of things that were out of character, and that your name came up, and these are some of and I've done some things to you. When would be a good time to talk about those things that I've done? Be like, now's fine. I'd be like, all right. And I'll outline the things that as I saw what I did, right? Like, hey, I stole from you, I cheated this, and I did that to you. And before I say anything else, is there anything I'm leaving out? And man, when I had to ask people what I had done wrong to their understanding, them motherfuckers was happy to let me know. It was finally, you piece of shit. You did this, and this. I was like, and the best part is I can't even defend it. Just take it on the chin. And not only that, he gave me a nice little cap at the end of it, just to make sure I wasn't going to be Jimmy Pullman at the end of it. I asked, how did it make you feel when I did that? And there's something that breaks apart all ego in that moment that really allows God to come into the picture, to where when it comes time to transcend, to ask what I can do to possibly make any of those wrong, I feel like I'm absolutely not there on my own terms. I'm there on terms in which God has arranged it. And I feel very free from the pressure of making the restitution that I have to make. I'm just doing God's work, bro. I am so sorry for everything I've ever done. And like, those were some really good amends. And the amend to my mom looked different this time than the first time. But yeah, that's man, I just talked for like 40 minutes, huh? I fucked y'all all up. I'm sorry. So since I've been, so I came back to Palm Beach County. I came back to Pasco. I got sober in Tampa. And I remember I was like 3 years sober. 3 years, something like, 3 years sober. And I'm like trying to stay in Oldsmar. Y'all familiar with Oldsmar? Oldsmar's all right, man. And it's like kind of like it's town and country, but it's not, you know? And I'm like, God, I'm praying, right? Like, yo, put me where you'd want me to be. My kids live in Newport Richie. And I go to apply for this place in Citrus Park because it's kind of close, but it's not. I get denied. Credit's all jacked up. Go apply for this place over in Oldsmar. She don't believe me. Don't give me the place. There's this house in Newport Richie, right? It's over, y'all familiar with Newport Richie? Oh, yeah. It's in Virginia City, right? It's over there behind the Dairy Queen on motherfucking 54. It's the hood. And I go to walk this house, and I'm like, there ain't no way this bitch gonna let me have this house. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. My kids are with me. They're like, oh, it's got a fenced-in backyard, Dad. I'm like, shit, baby, we get a dog if we get this place. I'm that committed that she ain't gonna rip me this place. She like, we walk through, she's like, what do you think? I was like, it's cool, I take it. You know, and I think we're gonna do all this paperwork. She's gonna find my credit. She opened them up to the fucking lease right there. She's like, go ahead and sign. I was like, whoa. And she's like, my daughter, grandma, and she goes, Daddy, we get a puppy. I'm like, fuck that bitch, I'm moving to Newport Richie. I was like, holy shit. And I was 5 minutes right down the road from my kids, man. While it took time to earn back the relationship with my kids, the earn back had to become on terms of the other parent. I had alienated all my rights as a parent. And whatever I could see the kids as she felt comfortable with, I had to surrender those ideas to God and not do it because I was trying to wrestle the relationship back. I would just do as what God would have me be in the moment, and he would restore it at the time he felt it was time to be restored. And what went from me just being able to sleep over at their mom's house to spend time with them has come to where, like, yo, she'd be like, yo, you need to come get these kids right now. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get enough of the kids, you know? And so when I moved to Newport Richie, I kept my home group in Tampa for a while. I didn't want to be a part of this anymore. And something happened, man. Like, I went to this New Ideas group. That's my home group. It's on Tuesdays and Sundays night. Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday night, 7:30 Main Street. Check it out. It's a good little place to get to know people at. And I went there, and I saw people that I had remembered from when I was around before, and I still didn't feel like I belonged. I was like, oh, there's those people. They do this meeting, and they don't like me. I don't like them, you know. And, man, I don't know why, but they still loved on me. Like, they would, like, open their hands up to me and talk to me, and, like, they made me feel so welcomed. And next thing I know, I was like, yo, Pasco County got some fucking thugged out recovery, man. I love this shit. I fuck with Newport Richie hard, man. Like, I don't know why it took me so long to come around to this shit. It's just enough to have enough, but it's not bougie and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, you can have nice shit around here, but you ain't got to keep up with nice shit. Now, I live in Virginia City. You got to lock your doors and shit, but it's okay. I remember when I was moving in Virginia City, my homie was helping me move in from Tampa, and he was like, I was making the right off 54, and he's like, oh, shit. I was like, what? He's like, you live back over here? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah. He's like, shit. I was like, shit, what? He's like, man, I smoked a lot of crack back here. I was like, God damn it. I was like, fucking Eli. And he's helping me move the shit in. And he's like, nah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. There was a shooting like 2 weeks later. I told my landlord, I was like, yo, how much is the rent going to go down if there's another shooting? She's like, I've never had a shooting back there. I was like, shit, I've been here 2 weeks and there's been one. So here we go. And, man, I've been super blessed to not be a story told about in the rooms as like one of those stories to be like, watch out for this because this is what can happen to you. But to be a story that God can use in the room to be like, yo, watch out, this shit'll get crazy before you do it. And there's nothing between like me and the psychic change besides air and opportunity, a little bit of a program of action. And I appreciate y'all for having me tonight. Thank you.